pro town, and giving the employees, I didn't agree with ever making those cuts because they were completely unfair. They lost their livelihoods, some people lost their homes. So I just think maybe not the $750, but they deserve what they deserve their hours back and their raises back and their, so not just going for just that small amount, but a little bit more to give them what they had back is, and it will be up to us to stand out there and say, yes, 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 and not just sit at home and, you know, your strategy, I haven't heard from anybody. I'm a leader of Dance of Greatness. No one's called me and said, what is your strategy? How are you going to help out here? No one said anything to me yet. So we could have a strategy for yes, yes, and more yes. But it doesn't have to be the whole 750.
Yes.
Personally, I like the 610 idea for the simple reason that, like it was mentioned, now you're going to give back to the people that work for this town, that stayed with the town. We're not giving them a raise, we're giving them their money. 610 is still a hell of a lot less than 690, so you're underneath that psychological threshold that we fought about for the superintendent and the school committee that couldn't understand the meaning of a two-letter word. We wouldn't be here in the first place. But if we're going to go for, you know, I don't think that the 60,000 is going to make the difference between it going and not personal.
All right, Ken?
Can I revise my motion?
Go for it.
One more time.
Okay.
Okay, I would like to revise my motion again. So, no, is it 610 or 615?
610.
610, right? 610? Okay.
60.
I would like to revise my motion that the ballot override question be worded as follows. Shall the town of Templeton be allowed to assess an additional $610,000 in real estate and personal property taxes for the purposes of the general operations of the regional schools and municipal government for the fiscal year beginning July 1st, 2013?
Do we have a second?
Second.
Okay, do we have a sale? Do we have a sale, please?
I think we can do it,
No, it should be a little higher.
but it's okay.
I don't
It should be
think
620.
it's okay.
It should be 620, 620.
I would like to revise my motion one more time. Better to get it right.
It's 5.
I would like to make a motion that the ballot override question shall read, shall the town of Templeton be allowed to assess an additional $620,000 in real estate and personal property taxes for the purposes of the general operations of the regional schools and municipal government for the fiscal year beginning July 1st, 2013?
Second.
All right. Have a motion made and seconded. Any discussion? Julie?
Yes.
Ken?
Yes.
Yes. Sold. Democracy, what a concept.
Okay.
All right.
We have a meeting to run.
Yes, the next item on the agenda is to set a date for the special town meeting. My thought on the date, it meets a time frame. It's a week or so after the ballot question, which gives the clerk time to give out the results. They get circulated, they sink in a little bit, and then people have time to consider the options, because we can put multiple articles about what we'll do as far as the special town meeting, and whichever way we have to go, we can use what we need and just pass over the others. Can't just add stuff at spur of the moment. To open the warrant for the days, the 14, and that's the minimum from the state. My thought of a date, and just again, the school just needs to know, because the date, it should work, was Wednesday, October the 23rd, 2013. The 23rd, that should be a special town meeting would be October the 23rd. It's a Wednesday. That's just a date that, in speaking with the town clerk, a Tuesday for an election is like a normal election day, and to give some time. That was just a date that I tossed out there and asked the school about. The date could change here, maybe a couple times, I don't know. So,
I will make a motion
Do
that
you have-
we, oh,
okay,
do
no?
you want me to do
I
a
thought-
motion and then
yeah,
discussion?
okay.
Okay. I'll make a motion that we have, set the date for the special town meeting for October 23rd, in the auditorium at 7. That's when we usually start.
I'll second that motion.
All right, motion made and seconded. Is there any discussion?
Want to ask what's the timeframe for, only because of the submitting articles, just to know that I'm hoping I'll have my new growth number, which will give you, what did I say 2 meetings ago, something around 30,000 more that you'll have to spend or move or throw something or.
Yeah, if we agree on a date, then we can open it and then,
Okay.
because you, when were your evaluations and everything, so we can actually say the dollar figure per,
I'm in the process of doing that this week, hopefully by the beginning of next week, I'll be certified by the state. And you gotta remember, today was my birthday back after 3 months,
no, just so when we have like town hall meetings or we put out any information, as soon as that figure, and I know that's under
It's not
control
gonna-
of the state. All right, and that's a good time frame, correct? 'Cause I think that's 44 days from tomorrow. Time if we vote the date and then open it.
Open.
All right, so a motion made and seconded for the date of the special town meeting would be Wednesday, October 23rd, 2013. Julie,
Yes.
Ken,
Yes.
and yes.
I will make a motion to open the warrant for the special town meeting on October 23rd.
I'll second that motion.
All right, motion made and seconded to open the warrant.
We're opening the warrant today.
Right now.
It will
She
be
just
open for
opened the
14
warrant.
days.
It sounded like you were opening it.
Wow.
Yes.
Oh, no.
You all misunderstood.
No, opening the warrant.
Any discussion? Thank you. Julie,
Yes.
Ken,
Yes.
and yes. All right.
Mr. Chairman, what's the date we have to have any articles in on that town meeting?
We're open it
It's
to-
the 14 days from
yeah,
today, right?
Right, so. I would do September 24th at noon.
Oh, yeah, because we'll start at 10.
For the 23rd.
Yeah.
Monday the 23rd, you just give us a day. That's, by the way, it's too, well, it has to be open 2 weeks. You like the 23rd.
Noon on 23rd? That's-
No, the
24th.
24th.
Yeah, that's right, okay, because
Yeah,
today's
it's gotta be open 14 days.
all right. It will close on noon time on September 24th.
September 24th?
At noon time, that's when it will close. Okay. So we've set the date, we have that.
Yeah.
We didn't vote to open the,
We did vote on it.
okay.
And we did vote the date.
Yeah.
Yes,
Okay.
we're good.
So
We're good.
good.
I thought we did. All right, so we're done with that.
I think that's it.
All right, so the next thing. All right, the next thing on the agenda is to discuss fire department employee hours. In an effort to to provide maximum coverage and to try to stay in budget. The fire department, we can adopt a 28-day work period and have maximum coverage without a lot of the overtime, and it saves on the budget, and it is equal, it's fair, and it's legal. And again, this would be one of those things that will just put in writing what the policy is, and it will take away any contention or any gray areas. It will just simply put the policy in writing for the fire department, mainly for the ambulance service, so we have maximum coverage, which helps keep the ambulance service and the receipts, and I know that in a way that's a bad thing, because when the ambulance rolls, it's not for a good time. But rather than Woods or any other company making those rolls, the town covers it, and it goes to the ambulance receipts fund, which means when things come up for the fire department, it can be made through appropriation rather than taxation. So your taxes don't have to go up to, say, buy a new ambulance, or pay for equipment, or training, and so forth, which is a good thing. Again, it would be appropriation money and not taxation money. So I would,
Mr.
look,
Chair,
yes,
I will make a motion.
okay.
I will make a motion that the town of Templeton adopt and implement a regularly reoccurring 28-day work period for firefighters, fire protection personnel, and the accompanying 212-hour overtime threshold pursuant to Section 207, subsection K of the Fair Labor Standards Act, and 29 Code of CFR, Section 553.
Second?
Motion made and seconded. Any further discussion? Seeing none. Julie?
Yes.
Ken?
Yes.
And yes. The next thing is discuss Board of Health Regional Nurse Agreement. The health agent and the chairman of the Board of Health and one other member. And I believe you're,
Good evening.
is it-
Introduce Joan Langstrom. She's staff attorney for Mass Association of Health Boards. She was assisted in crafting of this document, so she's here to answer any questions. Have a little bullet points on some of the services that you are getting right now at no cost to the town.
Thank you.
This is more than just public health nursing, although it did start around public health nursing. This is an 11-town, city and town network. Can name all the towns for you. The cities of Fitchburg, Gardner, and Leominster. Towns of Phillipston, Athol, Templeton, Royalston, Clinton, and Sterling. I think that's 11.
Westminster.
On Westminster. Believe about 18 months ago, you signed an agreement to proceed with the, this process. So this process has been going on for almost 4 years. We've been involved with it for almost 2 years. So some of the services, just going down the bullets: public health nursing services, including communicable disease monitoring and follow-up, including TB, medical director access for standing orders for vaccine clinics. Basically, when we have a vaccine clinic, we have to have a signed standing orders from a medical director in order to operate any vaccine clinic. Network access, wide access for clinics, so even though we put on a clinic, other townspeople can go to other towns to get vaccinations, even though, you know, we've had our clinic or our follow-up clinic. We partner with the Community Health Clinics, Massachusetts Opportunity Council, and Lux Services to enhance access to services, a lot of them mental health services that aren't directly available in the community, but we have access to. Beach testing and reporting and follow-up. One of the things the network was able to do, Berkshire Environmental Testing, which did beach testing for most of our towns, basically went out of business at the beginning of the beach season, and so we were stuck without any beach testing. So through economy of scale, we were able to get beach testing done and fulfill the legal requirements to be able to have open beaches. Sharps and med collection, although we do med collection at this time, this is being made available throughout the network. And on Wednesday, we're being delivered a Sharps kiosk, a secure Sharps kiosk for Sharps collection. It will be in the front foyer of the fire department, 2 School Street.
That would be for used needles like that?
Yes,
things like
used
that.
needles, which are, as of right now, we don't have that available. That has been provided through the network. Community health assessment for all the area towns. That was one of the requirements of the grant, which was just done this year. It included the smaller towns like Templeton that never get their own community health assessment. Community health assessments are very important going forward to apply for any type of grant funding. If you don't have a community health assessment identifying your population's need, you're not even in the ball game. So that the part after that, being part of an 11-town city group, when we apply for grants, we have a lot of clout. Us by ourselves, little old Templeton, especially with sequestering at the federal level where all grant dollars start, we don't even get any attention. But as part of an 11-town group, we're able to access and get grants, which we've done. We also have backup environmental health services for emergencies and backup. My assistant in my office is an administrative assistant. Although the town has approved an assistant health agent, you have not funded an assistant health agent. If I'm away, you have no backup. Through this network, you would be able to have backup. Also in emergencies, you would have backup. We also share equipment, so we don't have to purchase specific types of testing equipment. We can share that. Public health nursing services to assist in vaccine clinic and health promotion activities. We have that available. And then we also have training made available for the workforce and Board of Health development going forward. We have a UMass resident doctor program that assists to meet identified health concerns that they've been working on. We also have a regional initiative to promote a healthy weight program, which one comment, some folks said on the Baldwinville Road project, why did we spend money to put a sidewalk in? Well, I'll tell you, the sidewalk's not even done, and I see people walking on that sidewalk all the time. It's really a good thing. Gets people out there, gets them walking, gets them exercising. Unless you have safe places for people to do that, people don't do it. We also have an extensive trail system that's in our area that we're promoting for access for people to get exercise. And then we just received this grant through the network for stroke prevention education, which are going to go out to all the councils on aging, so that'll be happening in the next 6 months. To me, it's a win-win. If you look at the agreement, I will point out 2 significant clauses, since everyone seems to ask about it. There's no good agreement without an out clause, so there is a termination clause, which is 14, and there's also a financial commitment clause, which is 15. Basically, if you're, at this point going forward, we're still grant funding. We hope to partner and have more grant funding. We also hope to be self-sufficient through fees for services. We're also very conscious of the budget. So going forward, I can't tell you, you don't have, they weren't given the
We are
agreement?
missing a page.
Oh, page 4.
Is it on the back? Yeah. Page 4. Yeah.
You're
It
missing
was
pages.
double-sided, so I'm missing 2 and 4.
Okay, I can pass 4 around.
I was looking for the fees and I couldn't.
2 around.
Yeah.
And I apologize if,
I had it.
you got,
Oh, just can't have a copy?
Mhm.
Oh,
again, sustainability is something that we're working on. However, by pooling our resources, we're enhancing our capacity and capability. Going alone, just none of this happens. It's been an asset to us, so I would ask the board for their support. We're here to answer questions.
Yes.
how much does this agreement cost the town?
At
of
this
Templeton?
time, nothing, because we're still grant funded, and we hope to keep that assessment as low as possible. Next year, we're looking at around $300 as kind of like a buy-in feature. Again, you know, we have small towns involved in this, so sustainability costs is a key ingredient for the working group to make this sustainable.
The grant is 4 years. The first 2 years is 100,000 each, and then the next year is 75,000, the last year is 50,000.
Right, okay. But the commitment on the part of the town,
There is no financial commitment except for if they do the $300 assessment just as a join-in.
okay. And my other question is, when I looked at the agreement, the term of the agreement is 4 years, beginning on the execution of this agreement.
Right.
And it's renewable automatically for up to a total term not to exceed 25 years?
Yes, that's by statute, yes.
Okay, so that's by statute. It just seems like
You
a
can
very long
terminate it,
time.
yeah, you can
I
terminate it.
understand, that's
yeah.
why
You
I
cannot
was
renew.
missing the termination.
Right, or you can just vote not to renew it.
Okay. And is there analysis done on the cost benefit?
Cost benefit right now is, we have no public health nurse, and we have access to public health nursing. This whole list right here
Right.
that I give you, we have none of that. We've been able to get this through this network, being a participant, active participant in this network.
Hi, Rick Tripolo, Chair of the Board of Health. Just to give you a way of putting this in framework, about a year and a half ago, a patient in town was diagnosed potentially with TB. A public health nurse had to assist that patient in monitoring the patient taking the medications. We estimated, not a firm figure, but we estimated those costs would have been approximately $1,500 to hire a nurse to perform those duties. We had to be, as part of this agreement, those duties came with, for nothing. Again, it may be $300, it may go up to $400, $500. It can only take one patient to wipe out 3 or 4 years of that payback. And the town is required to provide those services.
Okay.
Yes.
All right, so you get the grant for 4 years, correct?
That's correct.
Okay, and what year are we in now?
We're in the first year.
We're
First
just
year.
finishing the first,
Finishing
we're at the end
year.
of the first, December is the end of the first year.
Okay.
This intermunicipal agreement is also part of the requirements of the grant that I assume the board signed on to when you applied for the grant. It's an implementation grant. So they want to have this, I think, by December 1st, DPH does. So this is part of the deliverables. And I work with DPH, so they've reviewed this.
I will make a motion that we enter into the intermunicipal agreement.
I'll second.
Motion made and seconded. Any further discussion? Hearing none. No, no second. Hearing none. Julie?
Yes.
Ken?
Yes.
And yes.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you
you.
for your time.
Thank you.
All right. The next item on the agenda was something brought forward by Town Clerk Carol Harris, and I'm glad she's here tonight. And this is done a lot in the State House. You read the State House news. These are brought forth a lot of towns, a lot of agencies. She's suggesting that town employees be allowed to donate their sick time. Right now, we have 2 employees. We have just one come back, but we have 2 employees who are going to be out for an extended period of time. And these sick days go pretty quickly when you have something serious. And Carol has volunteered that says she has sick time that she would volunteer. And there are perhaps other town employees who would be willing to do the same. So she was asking if there was a procedure to allow the town employees to donate some of their sick time to other town employees who would be in need due to prolonged or serious illness. She states she has hours of sick time and would be willing and would like to donate to employees who could be running out of sick time. And I believe there is a procedure to do this, but the first thing to do would be for us to vote to start and make that happen. It's a great idea. It's, again, it's coming from an employee, actually an elected official, but she's willing to help out. I'm sure there are other employees who would be willing, and that's always a good thing. Like I said, we have to, it just takes a vote by us to start the procedure. Unfortunately, with governmental municipal stuff, we can't just go, I wish we could, but, one second. Alan, and then,
I just want to speak in favor of Carol's idea. This was brought up several years ago, actually, with a former board, and it just never came to fruition, so I think it's a good thing. And I would be one of those employees that donates some
thank you. Jeff?
The Narragansett Regional School District union contract has a clause in it allowing employees there to donate time into a sick leave bank. The state requires special legislation to have a sick leave bank created. Under local home rule, we don't need an act of the state legislature. We would need to amend our personnel policies and to allow the creation of such a bank. And then the Board of Selectmen, sitting at the time of the decision, would decide to open a bank for employee A, for employee B, for employee C, every time it comes up. So I just want you to be aware that we would first, and of course it will run by town council for appropriate procedures. We'll have to amend our town employment policy to allow the town Board of Selectmen to create, as the personnel board, sitting as the personnel board, to create such a bank. And then you would vote individual cases as they arise.
We could do this on the 16th.
Sure.
If,
Yeah. As soon
I'd
as
like to
the-
do this expeditiously as possible. You don't want the person, thing to pass too long. Phil, then Lou.
My question, Jeff already mentioned it, and you have some language in a union contract. So one question is the police contract or DPW and the other unions in town have that
I
as
can
a
answer
clause?
definitively, they do not have language in their contracts.
Because that's the simplest way is getting it into our union contract, all the way up to the open contract part. I don't want to do that right now. I'm in favor of it. We had it in Athol. We had it for our union contract. You were able to donate X amount of, there's a limit to what you can donate. There's a limit to, usually it opens once a year. I mean, this has been done. There's no real, shouldn't have to reinvent the wheel to do this. I'm in support of it.
Lou?
I agree with Karen now, Bill, I'm in support of it. I mean, some of us have a lot of sick time on the books that are willing to give up to their people.
Okay, we will, no objections for other members of the board. We can have a selectmen's meeting in conjunction with the other meeting, and get this done. Hopefully, next Monday would be, we could, we'll just check on a couple things, but we'd do it then. So,
Is this something that, what's the change in the personnel policy, is this something that has to go to town meeting, or can this be, is this something you guys can do? The reason I'm asking is because, to do this, to do that, we've got to wait for this. These guys need this now, because they're running out of
Yes.
their short-term disability, and,
That's why we're moving it along.
well, that's what I'm asking,
Okay.
is that, is it something that has to go to the town meeting?
We're at the personnel board,
yeah.
right.
I believe the language is already in there, but I would check on that, but I believe the language is already in there to amend that policy. I think how it goes to the board of selectmen originally. So,
I think Bud had a question.
I don't plan on taking any more sick days from all that.
but,
Yeah, I just wanna, I'm maxed out with my sick time, I have 800 hours, and I wanna donate over 400.
well, it's-
I might get sick, and I hope I don't, but in the event.
I know.
You can do that more than
Alright.
one. You
Alright.
said once a year?
We have to work out the
Okay, I was
details
curious.
of what, and then figure out how to implement it.
Jeff,
We
can
can
you
implement it through the personnel board, which is the board of selectmen.
work on that?
And we'll
And,
tentatively meet a week from tonight, brief meeting, open and close.
yes. So we will have tentatively right now, we'll have a selectmen's meeting on the 16th of September to hopefully deal with this issue and make it happen. And very thankful for your suggestion and your thoughtfulness. And to the rest of the employees who are willing to step up, which I thought they would. All right, so thank you very much, Carol. All right. The next item on the agenda is, we voted to do this, to send a letter. Mr. DePiero at the time was out on vacation, and it was communicated to him via email that we were going to agree and extend to the terms that he gave. He said he would be back this date because we needed a formal thing from him. We got that, and it has to be signed, and I thought that's a thing to be signed at a selectmen's meeting in the efforts to be
That's the original.
open and transparent. We did have a motion and a vote to extend the lease and for the chair to sign. So at a public open selectmen's meeting, I will now sign the extension for 690 Patriots Road. So done. The next item on the agenda concerns delinquent property taxes. The town coordinator.
Just for information only, this has been discussed for quite some time, going back to March or April. Tomorrow morning, I will post FY12 delinquent, 12, not 13, FY12 delinquent property taxes on the town website. Just letting you know, so that if your name happens to be on this list, you've had more than enough notice. Don't bother to call. It'll be public information on the town website tomorrow morning. It's like last call.
So,
Are we gonna post anything that's older than 2012?
No, not at this time. If you'd like to
do we
sit
have
with me and
things?
discuss it, I'd be happy to entertain it.
I just had a question. When these, just for my own edification, when the property taxes go into tax taking, I presume, but the town's policy is to not foreclose on.
Generally speaking,
Okay.
yes.
Can I speak on that? I'm not, but in the past, I know that that's, one budget item that was constantly cut and cut and cut. And I believe, currently, and I don't know how to say this delicately,
All right, the next thing, the next thing on the agenda is received a request from Mr. Dennis O'Brien to discuss the town building in East Templeton. Dennis?
I have a question. I understand that you purchased a dehumidifier for that East Templeton school, and I would like to know how much it cost. And also, I understand our lead bill was used to be $31 a month. The first month they put it in was $214 for electricity. In August it was $527. And what I'd like to know is, if we voted not to spend any money in that building, why are we spending money for something down there?
I would say that the money is being spent to preserve a town building. I don't think anyone, logically thinking, would just want to leave a building to disintegrate or destroy itself from within. Those school buildings have been neglected enough. People say, well, sell surplus property, sell surplus property. If you don't preserve the building in the simplest of ways, it's just, you're not going to have anything to sell. It'll just be bulldozed down. And that cost more than, I think, the cost of a dehumidifier. It's helping to preserve the building.
What was the
It is a
cost?
town asset.
What was the cost of that dehumidifier?
Mr. Spring?
It was around $2,000.
How much?
2,000.
Right. Well, what I understand, if the building is so good, why do we have to have a dehumidifier? We don't have any other buildings, why do we have to have a dehumidifier in there?
Mr. Chairman, may I answer that?
People-
Documentation that I have here from the school showed that there was a dehumidifier all those years. That was to take and end up making sure we did not have problems on mold issues. Since that dehumidifier is in that building, there is no mold issues. Second point, since most of you get the Garden News, Interaction Kids page. You might not read it, it talks about mold. Mold is everywhere. It's probably in your house. The only difference between having it in your house and having it in that building is if you have a high moisture content. Preventing high moisture content prevents mold and the deterioration of that building. I think that's a wise choice of the money. In addition to that, let me say this, and I know that you're going down the path of trying to take and end up selling that. You want to have that building sold. You also should read the Telegram. We're in a worse real estate market than the town of Holden. The town of Holden is going through a process now of trying to take and sell their Holden police station for the last 4 years. Each year, they've had to take and lower it, and they still are not able to sell it. Its valuation in its present condition it was built in '78, is in much better condition than what the school left. That being said, I wish we had the resources to take and pick that building up and give it to the police department, because that would be an excellent building for use for our police department. That's the reasons why that building was looked at by the advisory board, and we made a number of recommendations to take and end up trying to preserve that building so that we could end up looking at what we should do with it in the future. One of the uses was to take and end up using it for the town. Another use could be that we end up selling it, but it's in its present condition, the way it sits, and looking at the market, the real estate market in this community, you're gonna end up seeing that you don't get good value as far as selling it.
I understand that part, but the thing is, that building's been 60 years.
Have you been in that building, sir?
Yeah, years ago I have, not lately, no.
Structurally, that building is...
I'm not talking about structure.
Excuse me. Excuse me.
Yes, I'll...
Calm down.
Yes.
You asked how much the dehumidifier cost, he answered the question. Let's not have a back and forth argument, because I see where this is going, and it's not good. Bob, and then Virginia.
That dehumidifier still plugged in and operating as we speak?
I didn't hear the question.
Is that dehumidifier still operating as we speak?
Only when we have high humidity.
Well, the reason I ask is that, from what Dennis said, the bill went from an average of $30 up to $214 in July and up to over $500 in August. So, yeah, I think if that's gonna be the, going thing here for electric bills throughout the year, a lot of money is spent on electricity.
Well, when the humidity level goes down, you don't need that.
Well, that's why we're asking the questions of Mr. Spring, because we don't know these things. To see a electric bill shoot up to $30, up to $500 in 6 weeks, you know, it doesn't make sense.
What do you think?
Are those accurate?
Yeah, I got those figures from Lake Number.
Okay, so you obviously know the answer to some of these questions. Yeah, okay. Luann, and then,
In defense of Will Spring, or even putting a dehumidifier, most people in Templeton, Phillipston, we have moisture in our cellars. Come summertime, I plug my dehumidifier in, my electric bill goes up probably $80 to $100, June, July, and August. Come September, it cuts down, and by October, November, I shut it back off. I mean, that's just the nature of the beast of living in New England. So yeah, kudos to Will for trying to preserve the building from the mold, so if we do wanna sell it down the line, at least you got a building out of mold that you don't have to take care of. Thank you.
Well, I just wanted to say that regardless of what the building ultimately is used for, even if it's to be sold, that even if the electric bill were $1,000 a month, I would think that spending $1,000 for a few months out of the year to preserve a building that, you know, would cost a couple $100,000 to tear down even would, you know, would be a worthwhile endeavor.
is that, Ned? All right, thank you. All right, the next item that was on the agenda was to discuss a non-binding ballot question on feasibility monies.
Skip Ken on
I
purpose.
got cut.
So, but we're gonna skip over that?
Wait a minute,
Wait, you skipped the other item.
which one?
Oh, this is the amended.
Oh, I'm sorry.
That's
I
okay.
got the wrong one.
Yeah, the amended.
No,
agenda.
that's the next thing coming down.
Yeah.
The next thing is an item that was requested by Selectman Robinson concerning open for business in Templeton.
And I'll try to keep this really quick. So my idea, it's something that other towns do. You know, ideally you have like a $200,000 marketing campaign where you hire consultants, but that's not what I'm talking about, obviously. Just as simple, which once the board gives me the go-ahead to do this, I will draft it to have it ready for the next time that it can be on the agenda to kind of be reviewed. Templeton has a lot of attributes going for it. Its proximity to Route 2, its low tax rate, things that the willingness of the town, I believe at this point, to be open to business. I think that we kind of have a bit of a bad reputation, whether deserved or not, is immaterial at this point. But for not wanting to put the time and energy into bringing business into town, I think that if one thing that this whole process of the school budget and the override has shown us is that we can't cut our way out of the problem, and that the majority of residents that live in Templeton don't have the financial resources to fund $1 million overrides every other year when they may be necessary. So the only way to resolve those problems are to bring in businesses that can reduce obviously we still are under the 2.5% levy limit, but at least it will reduce the tax burden on the remainder of the citizens, so that when there is a necessity to give cost of living increases or step increases, that people have more flexibility in their budgets, because a larger portion of our tax burden is being shouldered by businesses. Again, I'm talking about, not more paper mills or steel plants or I'm talking about just, consumer-based businesses, kind of your large box stores, grocery store, those kind of things. Obviously, I love small businesses. A small business pays half of my mortgage every month, but I'm talking about more, businesses that will really have an impact on the town. So what I would like to do is permission from the board to just draft a letter again up for the board's approval at another time, with a list of possible recipients of that letter, just letting them know that Templeton, pointing out our positive attributes to them. An idea that I had that other towns do is obviously not hiring anyone to do this, but having a town employee. So if we get contacted by Whole Foods or by this, that we can give them one go-to person that can introduce them and say, oh, here's Mr. Machete, he's, the chairman of the planning board, here's who you need to talk to, here's the building inspector's office, to kind of act as a liaison. And I know that our employees are already strapped right now, but I think that this is a worthwhile endeavor if we could, for every serious inquiry, have a point person that works for the town that can assist them in showing them where they need to go and who they need to be introduced to. So with the permission of the board, I can put together a list of possible recipients of that letter. I'm not thinking that we're gonna send this letter out and suddenly we're gonna, everyone's tax bill is gonna go in half because we're gonna have, but it's a step in the right direction, at least in taking an effort to try to resolve some of the problems. And I know, and I'm not discounting work that's already been done by Mr. Machete and others trying to get, but for various reasons, our other efforts have not come to fruition, so we can't give up. We just have to keep pushing forward with this as kind of our best bet at relieving some of our problems.
Do you want it in the form of a motion?
Sure.
All right, I will make a motion that Selectman Robinson draft a letter for our consideration regarding open for business. I would also like you to consider possibly co-opting MRPC. I believe we get a certain amount of hours from them,
Oh, okay.
and they may be able to help develop a marketing campaign.
Oh, great. Can I second? Oh, yeah, I'll second it.
Yeah. You want to volunteer? You go for it.
Yeah, sure.
No objections. All right, motion made, seconded. No discussion.
Greater Gardner Chamber of Commerce, et cetera, Worcester Regional Chamber, lots of networking we can do.
Julie?
Yes.
Ken?
Yes.
And yes. All right.
Jeff?
Yes.
This is a great idea, but you have to make it welcoming for these businesses to come into town. Being a business in the town of Templeton, I will tell you, some of the procedures that you have to go through are not most inviting, and it can be very deterring if you do not persist at them. And there are some boards within the town that just make it, and there's a lot of the townspeople in this town that not in my backyard kind of town. So, it's a great idea, but, as much as people don't want to spend on taxes, and they don't want this, they don't want that, there will be no growth in this town. We have to open the minds of the citizens of the town of Templeton, that the business is good for us, and a lot of the businesses that are gonna come in, they have to look at them open-mindedly. I've seen a business that got railroaded out of town that really would have done really well in this town, a few of them that really would have done well in this town, and look at what's happening with the Dunkin' Donuts that are trying to, how much they had to go through just to put a Dunkin' Donuts in. It's a small business, but it's taxes for this town, and we gotta be more welcoming, and we've gotta try to make the procedure for them a little easier.
Point taken, Mr. Phillips then, and Templeton, small business owner who pays taxes in Templeton.
Yes.
Oh, just real quickly to address, I completely agree, and I think that, again, kind of one of the ways that we can start, like I said, having a contact person, so if they knew that, if I have a problem, I can't get a hold of the building inspector, or I can't get a hold of this person, that, I'll call Sue, because I know that she's my contact person, my town employee, to point me in, or whoever it is, to point them in the right direction. And I'm hoping that even though there's been a lot of resistance in the past, the way that people are getting sick of voting for overrides, that I think that there maybe some people that put up resistance will start to see they're going to keep hammering us for overrides again and again if we don't get a business in here. And just one last point I wanted to make, because I wanted to make this earlier and I forgot to, because I had some people that had mentioned about the swampland that we have a lot of, which is understandable because we had a school committee that tried to find land Templeton does have a lot of swampland. And I just wanted to point out that while, you know, the town and the school may not have the money to hire attorneys to comply with, you know, orders of conditions from the Conservation Commission and do all of that legwork, that I can guarantee that, like Walmart, if they wanted to put a distribution warehouse in here, would have no problem, you know, doing the legwork and spending the $1 million it might take to relocate that wetland. And the Walmart and Gardner, their whole expansion is built on a wetland that, you know, so there are possibilities out there, and there is hope, I think.
Very well. Yes?
Just one quick note. Ken mentioned that there's a lot of swampland in Templeton. That is true. It might be better Templeton, the town, might be better marketed if they didn't have a picture of swampland on their website. And maybe something a little bit more attractive. You know, something like that, because, you know, any business person's gonna go look at the town website to get that basic information, that basic contact information. And the first image that is gonna be stuck in their head is crappy swampland.
Get that map out.
So,
of the conflict.
we won't lie to them, we'll just show them a different picture.
Well, that's what marketing is.
Thank you for saying that. Holly?
I'd like to answer her question. I'm the unofficial webmaster now, and me and Jeff were just talking about that today. I'd like to welcome everyone to send me pictures, pretty pictures that aren't a swamp. And I'm working on changing that. It's supposed to be a slideshow. I'm gonna be working on that.
Great.
So if you guys have some pictures, email them to me.
I'll bring you a CD.
Okay.
All right. The next thing on the agenda is CDBG Grant Administration Contract Award.
Mr. Chairman,
Yes.
we solicited bids for administration of a block grant that we received from the Commonwealth of Massachusetts, what we colloquially refer to as Back Bay Phase 6, also known as the reconstruction of Memorial Street in Baldwinville. We had an official bid posting. It was in the Central Register, it was in the newspaper. We received bids, sealed bids at the Select Board's office. We opened those bids and have a single bidder to present to you. You have the proposal in front of you as well as the proposed fee structure. This is for you to actually award the grant administrative contract, program manager contract for Back Bay Phase 6.
Okay, and this was Community Opportunities Group. Some of you know him, Mike Pingpank is the representative in Templeton. He's gotten a lot of grants and stuff and funding for Templeton. And hopefully we can continue in that direction. So, at this time, I would entertain a motion to award this contract to Communities Opportunities Group.
So moved?
I will second it. I'm looking for a dollar amount, which it's in here somewhere.
It was separated. Yeah, you got the whole copy of that.
Is it
Oh,
at
wait
the
a
front?
minute, uh-huh.
At the front?
Yep, okay. In the amount of $76,750?
Correct.
Okay. So I will second that motion.
All right, a motion made and seconded. Any further discussion? Hearing none. Julie?
Yes.
Ken?
Yes.
And yes.
And I would like to say it's nice that Templeton can finally complete a project that has benefited that entire neighborhood.
The next thing is action on appointments of Miss Sonia White to the library.
Sonia, can't be here tonight. She became a grandma at 5:30 this morning. So I'm just here to endorse her.
So So I would entertain a motion to appoint Ms. White.
Is this as a library trustee?
Yes.
Okay. I'll make a motion to appoint Sonia White as a library trustee. Is it a 1 year or 3 year?
I think it's great.
Okay. For a 3-year term that would end June 30th, 2016.
Second that motion?
Motion made and seconded. Any further discussion? Seeing none. Julie?
Yes.
Ken?
Yes.
And yes. The next thing on the agenda, Alan Mayo, Cemetery Superintendent, can talk about a tree on Bonneville Common.
Is this a-
Good evening.
Evening.
Last year, when we did the Christmas tree lighting on Bonneville Common, several of us that were at that event noticed that the tree wasn't looking too healthy. I've had multiple comments from many in the community saying the tree is not healthy, and we knew that from last year. And I didn't want to do anything with the tree until it was appropriate time, because what happens with trees is they go dormant this time of the year, heading into the winter. So they take a less of a shock if you're gonna replace a tree. Having said that, the tree on Bonneville Common that we all dearly love, it's the biggest tree that we have for Christmas tree lighting every year, is pretty much seen its end. I have had the tree warden look at it just as a protocol. He has deemed it dead as well. And so I have talked to the light department. They have power in that tree because we light it each year for Christmas. So they have agreed that they will take it down if the town wishes. That will save us money as far as taking it down and doing that. They will help us. We'll work with them to chip up the tree and get rid of the tree. I have yet to talk to the highway department, but I'm sure they are willing to come in and use their stump grinder that the town owns and stump grind the stump and get it out of the ground. So I'm looking for the board's approval to go ahead with the process of taking the tree down and replacing it with a new one for this year's Christmas tree lighting. And I'd like to get it started here in September so that we can get the tree planted in October and have it go dormant, and it will look nice for Christmas tree lighting this year. Right now, the best guess for a replacement is a Colorado blue spruce.